Good morning. Welcome to our regional Innovate and Caffeinate. I'm Missy Vanderpool with Henderson Economic Development, and just want to say a big thank you to our regional friends, neighbors with Murray Callaway County, Christian County, and Hopkins County, Innovate and Caffeinate. We're excited to be here with you this morning and to welcome and introduce you to Casey Todd. Casey is a Henderson native. He's a 2013 graduate from the University of Kentucky. He has a degree in hospitality and management and has over 15 years of experience in the food and beverage industry. I think Casey started his entrepreneurial venture at the ripe old age of 14 with a shaved ice business that we still enjoy to this day. But he is a true entrepreneur. His spirit is contagious, and I think 2020 is the year of the entrepreneur, and we're so lucky to have someone like Casey here in Henderson. I often say that we would clone him if we could. Casey, after graduation, he spent 6 years with Steamer Seafood in Hilton Head Island and Bowling Green. And then with the birth of his daughter in 2017, he was dreaming of coming back home to Henderson to be closer to his family, and we're so thankful for that because in 2018, he did move back and started Hometown Roots. A year later, he opened Roast Coffee, and now with the COVID, some people may have been inhibited by the COVID, but Casey found another venture to get into, and he will tell you about that. So it's my honor to introduce you to my friend, Casey Todd. So Casey, I'm going to turn it over to you. Are you good, Casey?
Yes. Hey guys, sorry about that. Welcome, guys. Thanks for the introduction there. I'll just kind of give a little rundown of my history. I always like to tell my story and kind of let people know where I came from and where everything kind of started, which is a pretty neat story. So you did mention that I started the whole entrepreneurial thing when I was 14 years old. Yes, that is true. That's a little crazy to imagine from time to time, but I actually had a brother. His name was Nick Todd. And when he was actually 15, he started a business called Nick Shaved Ice. So he ran Nick Shaved Ice for 9 years. When he graduated college, I was at the ripe young age of 14 years old, and he actually sold me the business, which was pretty neat. So that was my first kind of taste of business and really getting into it. I was a golfer at that young age, so trying to balance golf and work was something that was a little bit challenging, but I always seemed to lean towards work a little more than golf. I wish I would have been a little better golfer if that wasn't the case. But so that started when I was 14 years old. Whenever I was working, that was a summer job. I worked from the 2 to 3 months in the summer whenever we were out of school. And in the wintertime, when I was, I guess about 15 and a half, I had my first restaurant job. I actually went to work for Rodney Thomas, which we now call the Godfather downtown. He's been in the restaurant business basically his entire life as well. But I was a fry cook, and that was something that it wasn't the prettiest job in the world, but it was probably one of the most fun. I ended up bringing 2 or 3 of my friends to work with me. So we had a really good team back there. But that's really where I kind of fell in love with, the restaurant industry and the food, and even the beverage scene. I saw a lot of the bars and things, even though I was very young, but I was still very interested. And then the rest of high school, I worked for Shannon Coughlin. He's another well-known Henderson restaurateur. He's also got a few places he's got a place in Murray, which is kind of cool too. I worked for him. I was a delivery driver, did wash dishes there when I was 16, 17 years old. So still a lot of that experience in the food and beverage industry. When I graduated high school, I really had my mind set on going to UK. I had a lot of my family, even my brothers, had gone to Western Kentucky University. Even my father, my grandfather, he was one of the first cheerleaders at Western Kentucky University. And so it was in my blood to go to WKU, which I was not about. I wanted to get as far away from Henderson as possible. And I really enjoyed the University of Kentucky. I was a huge Cats fan. So I took off to Lexington. I spent 5 years. Yes, I took an extra victory lap, I guess you could say. I was there in 2012 when we won a national championship, which was nice. That was a lot of fun. But while I was in Lexington, I went in as an accounting major. I thought I really wanted to be an accountant. I was a numbers guy. I was pretty good with math. And I worked in college. I worked 3 or 4 different restaurants. I worked at Columbia Steakhouse. It's the oldest steakhouse in Lexington. I also worked at Bluegrass Hospitality Group, which is kind of a staple in the Lexington area. They have Malone's, Drake's, Harry's. I actually worked for a place called Sal's. A lot of serving experience is what I got there. Sophomore year of college, I got a wild hair. I had some fraternity brothers that had taken the summer and moved to Hilton Head Island, South Carolina, and lived on the beach and waited tables and bartended at the beach all summer. And I was like, man, that sounds like that's right up my alley. So it was kind of neat. I called my brother and my parents, told them, I was like, hey, I'm thinking about selling the shaved ice place. And once again, they thought I'd kind of lost my mind. And I ended up calling a gentleman. And I called the gentleman, and the next thing you know, 2 days later, I had a meeting set up with him out by my parents' pool in the backyard. And I gave him the numbers, gave him the rundown, and told him the price I was asking. And then, we went on our way. And the next thing you know, 2 days later, he calls me and says, hey, we'll take it. Didn't counter offer or anything. So he sent some money for the business. That was on a Tuesday. Thursday, I took off to Louisville. I bartended the Derby or the Oaks and Millionaires Row, also the Derby and Millionaires Row, which was a heck of an experience. And then that Saturday I came home to Henderson, and Sunday I was off to Hilton Head Island to live at the beach for the summer. So some of my jobs there in Hilton Head, some of my first jobs, I worked at the Salty Dog Cafe. I know you guys have probably seen T-shirts all over the U.S. for the Salty Dog Cafe. That was there in Hilton Head. I also did an internship with Starwood Resorts, which was a whole lot of fun. We learned a lot with Starwood Resorts. I also learned that I didn't want to be in the hotel business. The hotel business is much, much different than the food and beverage industry, which is something that I quickly realized that I didn't want to do that. I had probably the most fun that summer. I was a bellhop and valet. So I got to drive some really nice cars. As I was a bellhop, I got to tell everyone about all of the nice restaurants in town where I suggested them to go. And it was really nice. We got pushbacks from all the restaurants. They'd bring us gift cards. We get to go try them out. So I was living kind of this fantasy life. It was really nice. But I also learned tons as well. So when I graduated college in 2013, while I was in Hilton Head, I had met a gentleman named Dale Augenstein. Dale was originally from Owensboro, Kentucky, a WKU graduate, big donor to WKU. And I had met him over my years in Hilton Head. When I graduated, I gave Dale a call. He had a restaurant called Steamer Seafood located in Caligny Plaza, which is in Hilton Head. And I basically called him and said, Dale, I'm graduating in a few weeks. I really want to come to work for you. What do you think about that? So we started as a kind of a manager and training program. My whole plan was basically to go down there, work for 5 or 6 months, go into the end of fall. And then I really wanted to kind of season hop. My plan was to go out west and work on the slopes and serve and ski all winter. That quickly was changed. About a month and a half to 2 months in the job, I got offered basically a full-time management job. So I was with Dale and Steamer really for about 6.5 years. He was kind of my mentor, really showed me the ropes, took me under his wing, honestly, treated me as if I was his own son. And, we learned, I learned tons from him. I learned pretty much everything I know here at the restaurant. And, that was an experience in my life that was a huge blessing. We traveled all over the place. We traveled the world, went to Europe a few times, went to Germany, and traveled all over the United States as well. And when we did, it was a lot of fun because we would always plan every single day around which restaurant we were going to go to for lunch, which bar we were going to go to for happy hour, and then which restaurant we were for dinner. And that really kind of opened my perspective into what else is out there. What are other people doing? And that's kind of where, the Innovate comes. You got to stay innovative in this industry. And that was something that was a true blessing, because I got to travel all over the world and see what others were doing in things like that. So that was really a huge blessing when it came to the restaurant industry. So about 2.5, 3 years into the job, we decided that Dale was doing a lot of traveling back to Western Kentucky University, and it was a natural fit that we opened a steamer seafood there. So I had basically committed to move back to Bowling Green. I had a girlfriend there at the time, which is now my fiance, Tori. And so it was a natural fit for me. I was like, oh yeah, of course I'll move back to Bowling Green and help out. So I spent about 2 years in Bowling Green doing the design and construction and kind of construction management of Steamer Seafood there. It was a massive building, a 300-seat restaurant. We had a state-of-the-art kitchen. And once again, that 2 years, I learned so much in the restaurant industry and so much about the construction and development and the build out of restaurants, restaurant equipment. We ran out to Anaheim, California. We went to NAFLM show, which is the National Restaurant Equipment Show, learned about all the new technology that was out there. And once again, just a time where I really got to advance my knowledge in the industry, which was a huge blessing that I had Dale beside me there. And then I guess about a year, about the time we opened Steamer in Bowling Green, Tori and I had a pleasant surprise. It's the best surprise we've ever had. Miss Presley came along. So I get a little teared up about that one. But when Presley came along, that was a life changer for us. So we were kind of in the plans of Tori and I were actually probably going to move back to Hilton Head, and we're going to open up another Steamer Seafood. And Presley kind of had put a little bump in the road. So when we did that obviously changed our plans a little bit. We didn't want to get as far away from family, as the 10 to 12 hours to Hilton Head. And so we started to really look at things, and Tori had just graduated college. We were having problems finding daycare for Presley, which really kind of affected Tori pursuing her career in human resources and whatnot. So, we really looked to spending a little more time with our family. We were just an hour and a half from Henderson, so we were spending a lot more time with our family. And that was whenever we decided, hey, maybe the move back to Henderson's the move. And so early of 18, I guess January of 18, we came across the building in downtown, the corner of 2nd and Main, which is now Hometown Roots. We basically spent a week or two kind of negotiating and doing some work with some architects, some kitchen design consultants. And next thing you know, I've signed a lease with the building. We took over the building April 1st of 2018. Spent 4 months and literally gutted the entire place, thanks to the help of my entire family, my in-laws, friends, and anybody else I could pull off the street to help us with the construction and design of the place. And we turned that around in 4 months, basically built the entire things ourselves, hired an amazing culinary team that is basically the same exact culinary team that I had with me since the day I started, which is a huge blessing. Couldn't do it without each and every one of those guys. Hired amazing front of house staff that's most of them have been with me since day one as well. Since we opened it, everything's been a huge success. We've got a huge emphasis on local purveyors and local farmers. And that's one of the most exciting things that we do on a daily basis. I spent a good time with Shauna yesterday. She's kind of the brains of the operation. And, I was looking at all the different vendors that we use. Currently, we're using almost 15 to 16 different vendors, which is nuts in the restaurant industry. But it's something that we truly enjoy. Out of those 16 vendors, 13 to 14 of those are local vendors, which are local farmers that are providing for their family, doing this on the side, or this is their livelihood. And we are proud to know that we support those families, which in turn support us. But we try to give them as much love as humanly possible on Facebook, social media, all of that fun stuff. But it's amazing the feeling that we get when we go to the farmers market, and everyone is so happy to see us. They're so excited to talk about the products that they have, talk about the products that they have coming up. And then now we've even got to the point where, now we're looking at fall and winter crops, and they're like, hey, what do you guys want? And that has been so much fun for us. It is a little more challenging from time to time, but it's 100% worth it to us because we believe that we are doing the right thing. We're also providing a superior product when we use those local ingredients and whatnot as well. I also don't want to forget about roast. So Shauna, I mentioned Shauna earlier. So Shauna has tons of experience in the coffee industry, and about 3 to 4 years experience in the coffee industry, and has a passion for coffee. So about a year after the restaurant opened, we had a perfect little space that had been a coffee shop once before. About that time, Planters, which was the only coffee shop in downtown Henderson, closed down, and it was a perfect opportunity for us to open a coffee shop. I kept dropping the seeds. I'd go back and water them with Shauna, and then finally one day, it was a little bit more explicit than I say, but she finally looks at me and she says, "When are we going to open up this coffee shop?" And I said, "Well, that's all I needed." We reached out to a good friend and a local Henderson guy, Ryan Pruitt out of Nashville. He's one of the owners of the Frothy Monkey. We set up a meeting with him. We partnered with the Frothy Monkey. They do all of our roasting. And they had just had their roast, just had their year anniversary about a month and a half ago in the middle of quarantine. So, that's where we stand. 2020, it's kind of crazy. People talk about, where were we at? What were we doing? Well, I'll tell you exactly where we were. We were on top of the clouds. I mean, we were on cloud 9. We would just come off an amazing holiday season. It was season 2 of the holidays. We've got an event space, and we had parties booked every day. Some of them double booked. We were doing lunches. Not to mention the business in the restaurant was phenomenal. The coffee shop was rocking and rolling. And then we go right into January and February. January and February are somewhat slower business in the restaurant industry normally. Well, this year was a little bit different. We had a huge gift card sales promotion, so we had a lot of people in the restaurant, but the weather was also amazing. If you guys remember, we didn't have really any really cold days. We didn't have any snow, sleet, rain. So our numbers and sales, our support, it was through the roof. And then little did we know that we got basically every bit of that taken out from underneath us. And I don't even remember the exact dates, but whenever the governor decided he was going to close this down, I had a decision to make. It was a very difficult decision, but I had a decision to make. And that decision was I ended up laying off all of our employees. Little did I know that they would have some benefits coming that obviously helped them a lot. And ended up closing the restaurant down. I had a decision to make. I could stay open and do to-go food and this and that. But to me, I had spent a year and a half building our reputation of quality ingredients, the service, the experience, the entire dining experience when you come into the restaurant. And I couldn't put that in a box and send it out the door. That was really, really hard for me to do. It was by far the toughest decision I've ever had to make. I had 30 employees that were looking at me dead in the face, and had to tell them that they no longer had a job. Was pretty tough. But that's something that was great. I had all 30 of those employees. Every single one of them came back to work when we opened back up, which is a true blessing. I know that we've had multiple others in the industry that have had problems with getting employees back and whatnot. So that's a true blessing. So then that goes into lead. What does a restaurant guy that spends every waking minute at the coffee shop or restaurant or in the restaurant or playing at the kitchen at home whenever he's on his days off, playing with food and whatnot, what's he do whenever he goes into quarantine and has nothing to do? Well, started a lot of big projects at my house in the front yard, tore it all up. But about a week and a half into quarantine, I got a phone call from a gentleman that I knew very well. We had become pretty good friends via the restaurant and the Bourbon Society here in town. And we had been playing phone tag, and we've been playing phone tag for about a week. But I finally, I looked at Tori one day and I said, listen, I don't know why Bill is reaching out, but I feel there's a reason he's reaching out. We've been playing phone tag. We've called each other 2 to 3 times each. So finally I got in touch with Bill. And it was kind of crazy. It was in the middle of quarantine. Shauna was here with me at the restaurant, and I just got Bill on the phone. And so I normally always talk on speakerphone. So Shauna heard everything that was going on, which was kind of neat. But his questions were, hey, listen, what are you going to do about sanitation, or what are your sanitation procedures at the restaurant? And that's something that I was extremely confident in. I said, listen, our sanitation procedures are pretty solid here at the restaurant. I would say they're better than probably 80 to 90% of the people out there, but yes, they're going to need help. And when you bring sanitation to the forefront of everybody's minds, that was something that we knew we were really going to have to be good at when we opened back up. The fact that we had to know that our employees and our guests had to feel comfortable to come back into the restaurant, that was something that was very important to us. Bill then proceeded to tell me about a product called Hypochlorous Acid, which is HOCL. It is a product that's naturally produced in the body. It's naturally produced in nature. And it's a non-toxic, non-corrosive, all-natural, pH neutral, food safe sanitation solution. And so basically he proceeded to tell me a little bit more about this and told me about the Pure Spaces. The Pure Spaces was a company he was involved in developing really all across the United States. And wanted to know if I wanted to be a part. Actually, he asked me at first what I thought about it, and I said, listen, I think it's truly amazing. And of course I'll support it, but I want to be a part of it. And so that's kind of where things went. I told him I was very enthusiastic about it and was excited about the opportunity. Over the next couple of weeks, it really came along, and now we started a partnership. It's myself, Bill Fiddler, and David Garber, and we are the Pure Spaces of Kentucky. So the Pure Spaces of Kentucky has the entire state of Kentucky, southern Indiana, southern Illinois, and we are basically a disinfectant service. So we'll come into a facility using a technology called electrostatic sprayer. Basically, the electrostatic sprayer takes our solution, which is a naturally neutral solution, which is HOCL, the hypochlorous acid I told you about, and then puts a slight cationic charge on it, which basically puts a very, very mild positive charge onto the solution. Then a track, you spray it, and it's got about a 5 to 10 foot span where you're spraying, and that spray is positively charged and is looking for something to attract to. So it's attracted to anything with a negative or neutral charge. So anything, for instance, in the restaurant, all the liquor bottles behind me, the tables, the chairs, the computer screens, the monitors, the host stand, anything, gives 360-degree envelope coverage with an instant kill rate on 95% of bacteria and the other 5% within 5 seconds, which is unheard of in the disinfectant industry. Not to mention it's non-toxic and all natural. So it's a business that is truly taking off. And a lot of people look at us as, oh man, you guys are kind of the ambulance chasers. You see an opportunity, you're going to hop on board and make a quick buck and then be done. Well, that is 100% not what we believe in. We truly believe that we are going to change the way disinfection is done in the future, and truly change the way people look at disinfection and sanitation for years to come. This product, hypochlorous acid, has been around for 50 to 60 years and been heavily used in Japan for the past 10 to 20 years. As you guys have probably seen on the news and videos of them sanitizing the streets in Asia and Japan and whatnot, that is the solution they're using. They're using hypochlorous acid. It's 100% all natural. It's naturally produced in your white blood cells to fight off viruses and bacteria. Very simple process as well. It takes water, a salt brine solution, puts it through electrolysis, is basically putting electric current through the water. It goes through multiple different diodes, and then one of the byproducts is HOCL, also called hypochlorous acid or electrolyzed water. And it's something that we truly believe is going to pave the way of sanitation in the future. Of course, it's a blessing to have right now in the middle of a global pandemic. But let's be honest with this, sanitation is going to be the forefront of everyone's minds. And these people like myself that were never even germaphobes have naturally become massive germaphobes. And it's something that we believe is going to be extremely beneficial for years to come. And it's something too that we hope to develop air purification, all natural air purification, and then even antimicrobial shields that can help protect against viruses and bacteria for some sort of length or period of time. Something that we're looking to develop as well. But once again, being in that all natural and safe, non-toxic environment is also going to be important for us. Sorry, I just saw we had a question come up, and I'm not sure if I know how to read these.
So, I'll ask you the question, Casey, if that's okay. Sorry to interrupt you. One of the questions that came in is, what sort of marketing strategies did you use when you started Hometown Roots?
So this is kind of crazy and kind of dovetail into this. So Dale was very adamant about not using really any, and we were in Hilton Head when everybody and their grandmother wanted to sell us magazine articles or ads in the newspaper, and he was against print advertisement and radio advertisement, which was I never really understood, but it boiled down to using four walls marketing. Obviously, we use social media, or Facebook, Instagram. We did get tons of love from the local newspaper. Those are three givens. But our marketing strategies when we started Hometown Roots were basically four walls marketing. You take care of a guest that comes in, and you give them an amazing dining experience. And the way I look at it is it's a three-legged stool: food and food quality. We make everything from scratch. We use local ingredients. We use the highest ingredients, best ingredients possible. Pretty confident in our food. Environment and atmosphere. We've got a pretty cool restaurant for downtown Henderson. Is it spectacular? No, but it is pretty cool for downtown Henderson, if I can say so myself. And it's very exciting because it's not a huge restaurant, so it always feels like there's something going on. It always feels like there's people here. So the experience and the atmosphere is really neat and unique. But then the third is service. And that service is a service when you come in the front door. You have your host. Try to get them to open the front doors for every time when somebody comes in, welcome the guest into the restaurant. And then it goes into the servers. The servers have a personal interaction with the guest, giving that over the top, what we call Raving fan experience. So one of our favorite books, one of those that Dale had given me too, is Creating Raving Fans. And it's talking about the +1 and going above and beyond, and not settling for mediocrity, and really going above and beyond when it comes to service. And then some of you guys will obviously know the Chick-fil-A motto, and look at what they're doing. They have business. They have cars wrapped around their building waiting for a chicken sandwich. And it's truly based on their service. And that is what we try to do. We try to take care of the customers that are here. You guys, some of you all will know my mom. She's in here all the time. She's the professional picture taker is what we say. But she's part of that experience. So we build that experience, make sure the food's great, the atmosphere is good, and the service is over the top. And then you take care of those customers that are inside your four walls. As soon as they step outside, they're going to be your ground soldiers. They're going to be the ones out spreading that positive word of mouth marketing that is worth more and more valuable than anything else out there. And that's one of the things too, is even while I'm walking throughout the restaurant, I've done it for the past 2 years, I'll say hello to guests and tell them, hey, how's it going? And most of the time they'll say, oh, thanks, everything was great. My next conversation is, where are you guys from? And so, even on the weekends, 50 to 60% of our people are going to be from Evansville, Newburgh, Owensboro, Hopkins County, Madisonville, Hopkinsville, Providence. I have people from all over the place. And it means something to us that these people are traveling 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour just to come have dinner with us, So we're going to make that experience truly amazing. And then hopefully when they leave, they have such a great experience, they're going to go tell all of their friends. And it's kind of that four walls marketing and creating Raving fans experience that we look for.
Thanks. And Casey, I will also testify that it is a great experience. We love going there. You feel like you're at home. Your mom's there and welcome you like you're part of the family, of course. And also I have to give a shout out. Casey also is very engaged in the community, and I think that helps. Very willing to do what he has to do, or any way he can help out with our Downtown Henderson partnership or any of the events that we usually have going on downtown Henderson. So that works too. We did have another question come in. What advice would you give to people who are thinking about starting their own business?
Ooh, that one can really go all over the place. But I'll be honest with you, spending the time in the beginning of the process to do your research and do your planning is key. Dot all of your I's and cross all of your T's to the best that you can, and reach out to people in the industry that you're going into and get information from them. Utilize your resources. I know one of the first people that we reached out to, which is now, it was Kindle at the time, but it's also Henderson Economic Development and whatnot, because I was looking at options for funding, and I reached out to you guys to get information, to see what I could do, and utilizing my resources. And I ended up getting funding from GRAD, which is Green River Area Development District. I would have had no clue about that if I wouldn't have reached out to you guys. And so, utilizing your research, or utilizing your resources, doing your research, and coming up with a well thought out business plan, and budgeting. Budgeting is key. Whenever I came back to Henderson, it was scary at times, but I budgeted the very minimal amount of revenue and the very lowest amount I could possibly do to personally survive, but then also survive as a business. It's been a blessing that we have been much, much busier than those first projections that I did, but I knew that I was going to have to budget extremely low. That way I knew I could survive making the jump back to small town Henderson, especially if people didn't support us. And we've been blessed, and people have loved us and supported us a lot, but that's something that we planned for big time when we came back to Henderson, and we're working on the original business plan. So.
Thanks. And I don't know that we have any more questions that have popped up. So I just want to say thanks again to all of our partners for having us and getting to hear from Casey and inviting us to join in. Next week, join in again next Wednesday at 8:30 for Innovate and Caffeinate. We will have an author, Chase Hawley. He's an author, and he will be speaking. I think he's from Madisonville area, so he'll have an interesting topic for you to talk about his new book that I think it's on Amazon and at Barnes and Noble. So that'll be a very interesting topic. And again, thanks so much, Casey, for joining us, and thanks to our partners in Hopkins County, Murray, Callaway County, and Christian County. This is a regional Innovate and Caffeinate, and we're just so thankful to be a part of it. So thanks, everybody, and I hope y'all have a great day.